had me at Cello, Cello. You had me at Cello. You had me at Cello. Oh, you had me at Cello. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cello Chat. Super excited today to have as my guest Kristen Yeon Ji Yun. Excuse me, Kristen. How are you doing, Dr. Yoon?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much
Great.
for inviting me as a part of this podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been definitely excited about the prospect since we crossed paths, what was it, back in March at ASTA.
That's correct, right? Yeah, that was the first time we met. Yeah.
Right. And hearing about your research, which we'll get to. And then I having since then checked out several of your recordings, for example, and beautiful playing. And so there's a lot of ground to cover, but let's start with your musical background. What got you into cello in the first place, and where did you get your training?
Sure. So I think I grew up in pretty much good musical environment. My mom was a piano teacher. So she has had a medium-sized piano academy in Korea. So she rented a whole floor of a building and taught many piano students there. It's very the standard form of piano academy in South Korea. Yeah, then when I was young, whenever I came back from school, I stayed in my mom's academy, piano academy, and waited her to finish her work. So I was doing my homework or hanging out with friends, surrounded by the piano sound always. Yeah, so at least it helped me to develop somewhat musical ideas and also good sense of ear because it's piano, right? Piano sound. So I have perfect pitch. Um, uh, then my mom tried to teach me piano, um, but teaching her own kid was not very easy, probably. Yeah, so she suggested me to play some other instrument. Um, Believe it or not, I was one of the tallest kids in my classroom, although I didn't really get taller after that time. But um, so she suggested me the play playing more like a bigger instrument like a cello. So I like the cello a lot. Actually, I started cello and then learning cello, and that in 1 year I started to have lessons with some professor. Um, then I was not really super great or I was like genius in cello. I was not like that, but I liked it. So I kept going. So I went to art middle school and art high school in Korea, and also music college, uh, art high school and art middle school. Maybe you can imagine that the program was pretty intensive because entrance exam, there were in entrance exams and also every semester, yeah, there were final exams on cello and it will decide, the result will decide the orchestra seating and so on. Yeah, so it was like when we are young, actually, well, when then it's kind of dramatic, right? Actually, that those kind of results are really everything in life or something. Yeah. So, yeah, but at the end, it was great experience to develop a strong mind, I think. Then I did my bachelor and master at Seoul National University in South Korea. And when I was doing master degree, I was playing also in professional orchestra, Korean Symphony Orchestra. That orchestra, the schedule was pretty busy, very tough. Uh, Not always, but sometimes they had three things going on actually in a day, like morning rehearsal, afternoon rehearsal for another concert, and concert in the evening, something like that. But it was really amazing experience because I learned so many literature in orchestra rep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really wonderful. Yeah. Um, so I worked in that orchestra for 4 years. In the last year, uh, we had a new cello principal. So she was actually my classmate in middle school and high school. And she came back from studying with Mr. Stracker at IU, that came back to South Korea. And we became really good friends. And she suggested me to go to United States and study, and especially with Janusz Stracker. So at that time, so schedule was really busy. So I wanted to change my environment a little bit, and I wanted to study better too. More things on cello. So yeah, I decided to go to US. So I came to United States in 2005 and started the performer diploma program at IU with Helga Winold, Mrs. Winold. Mrs. Winold was just really wonderful teacher. I learned a lot. Then I started my doctoral program in 2006 with Janusz Starker. He accepted me as his student that time. And yeah, it was really wonderful. So I think all kinds of my educational background, like anybody else, actually, everybody. So I think those experiences and also those the education, all the like emotions and yeah, those made I think current myself as cellist.
All right. And then how did you end up at Purdue?
Oh, yeah. So, my first job first, the full-time professor job was Colorado Mesa University. Yeah. Then, yeah, I was working there about 10 years. Then Purdue, my family is actually in West Lafayette.
All right.
So Purdue actually started music major program 2 years ago. So they needed more teachers. So
Mhm.
fortunately, yeah, I could come here and then teach here.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, Yana Starker, I think, will go down in history as just one of the, I mean, we've been so lucky to have so many really outstanding cello pedagogues, cello teachers, but Starker had just such a way about him, and in my opinion, a high percentage of just ways that he would say things that would stick with you forever, you know? So, what are some of the ways that Starker lives on in your head when you're playing cello or teaching? What are some of his favorite, his ways of teaching various aspects of the cello that you find yourself emulating when you teach, for example?
So whenever I had time when I was studying at the IU, so I sneaked in his studio and watched somebody else the cello playing and also having lessons, and also of course actually having lessons with him. I said that there was also the amazing experiences, and I could learn a lot of more like uh the interpretations of pieces and solutions for musical and also the technical solutions, the issues. Um, yeah, all those. Yeah, uh, so studying with him and also Mrs. Winode as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
studying
right.
with good teachers really, I think, influenced to me to start to think that I want to be also a good teacher and also mentor for my students because I think, yes, as you said, so experience with good teacher remain actually those kind of the like influence actually remains in entire of the student's life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes. Um, yeah, so uh yeah, I try to be the good teacher to my students as well, because my teaching way will become their teaching, the kind of way of their teaching as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
and yeah, Open Structure said, um, personally, I cannot teach without performing, and I cannot perform without teaching. I think actually
Right.
that's really right. Actually, that's the really, really correct sentence. Um, yeah, so we learn things actually from our performance, and we teach that to students, and also, um, yeah, we can learn things actually from teaching students. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Very
yeah, I
good.
want to, yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I only crossed paths with Helga Winold once, but I sure use her husband Alan's two-volume box suite book is amazing. But then also, have you have any other takeaways from either her or with whom did you study at Seoul National?
Yeah, Uh, so Young-suk Yoon,
Okay.
that's yeah, her Korean name. Yeah, she was a wonderful teacher as well, of course. Yeah, I was young. I mean, the yeah, tw 20. I mean, not too young, but somewhat young. So around that time, I was actually not mature enough to actually understand actually the
Hmm.
instruction. But the later usually actually someone, oh, she meant this and something
Yes,
like that.
right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
interesting.
yeah, she was wonderful too.
Right. Well, I want to ask you about advice for orchestral auditions. I know a number of the people who watch this program have more auditions for orchestra in their future, and it's not easy. But actually, I think maybe as a first question, you can either combine these or treat them separately. A good friend of mine who works at Yonsei University was talking about, this is Vincent DeVries, he's on the collaborative piano faculty, and he was describing in detail from his perspective as the auditioner how very competitive and strict the audition procedures are. You were talking about not only the high school and then getting into Seoul National, but then the professional orchestra. I think that sometimes American students they they get used to the fact that in audition situations we're often very supportive and encouraging. You know what I mean? And there can be times when, oh, okay, we can tell that you're very nervous. Why don't you try that again or something? But my understanding is that standard operating procedure, like to get into Seoul National and audition, you'd have a very fixed amount of time, and you can't use an iPad, for example. You can't bring in technology. I mean, just aren't there a number of things that are very, very tightly regimented to make sure that everything is, nobody feels like somebody else got like extra time or extra consideration in one way or another. Am I right about that?
Oh, that's correct, right? Yeah. So for auditions, students will play just yeah, from some, I mean, fixed amount of a piece. That's it. Actually, nobody will ask anything. No, the students cannot say anything, of course, and of course it's curtained to
Right.
fairness. Yeah. So kind of strict in the environment. Yeah. So it's slightly different, but I think actually in professional level, I mean, in US as well, like it's the same, right? Nobody will ask
Okay,
anything.
yeah.
Oh yeah, play that again. I mean, in orchestra, I mean, the top orchestra, the audition, actually, nobody's saying
Right.
those kind
Right.
of things, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I suppose so. I guess, yeah, that's probably the better way to think of it, is that the university's auditions themselves are trying to simulate what it's like for the professional orchestra. Whereas, I mean, like speaking just for my university, we're trying to in many cases, if the student just can have gotten inside their own head and just become terrified of this audition experience, and we're trying to find out what are they really going to play like on a daily basis when they're not petrified. So
That's
we try to
right.
calm them down and
Yeah, I think actually for undergrad level, actually they still need a little bit of encouragement. Anyway, I think it's important to start learning those the repertoire,
That's
actually
true. Yeah.
orchestra repertoire early enough from freshman, so that they have time to learn actually many repertoire. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. Yes. Yeah, and also, I think students well need to be patient too. Actually, uh, well, for some people, actually, they can get a job right away after first try or something like that. But I think many cases, actually, students would need a little bit of experience. So I think being patient and not too much actually frustrated or something actually that getting like it's some kind of hope and then the yeah they will be really I think helpful too.
All right. And then um, let's see. I'm also thinking about for the orchestral audition experience. Um, like we had Robert Domain of the LA Phil was our guest for our most recent cello day, and he was
Oh yeah.
saying from his perspective, nobody plays perfectly. But from the perspective, in a way, him saying that and my students hearing that and everything, and part of me is wanting to say, yeah, but you sitting in the practice room, you still can't sit there and go, oh, well, it's not quite perfect, but it's pretty good, and think that you're going to win. You know what I mean? You have to get it to where your ability to play it at an incredibly high level consistently, whether you're nervous or not, is just extremely reliable. So, like when you're helping your students prepare for orchestral auditions, do you like to have them record themselves regularly, or like how do you help them get that from having it kind of like 90% good to 99.9% before the audition?
Yeah, playing in front of people actually would be helpful too, right? Actually, especially their peers. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, and of course recording, as you said, actually recording would be very helpful too. Yeah. Yeah, they need to actually have the ear, it's just can they can self-assess to
Yeah.
yeah, good ear. And of course listening to orchestra playing and the
Yeah.
some many people actually have recordings, right? Actually, the of their or excerpt playing to the listening to them and then more like a, simulate those may help too. I think, yeah.
Nice. Excellent. Right. And I play bass as well as cello. You play bass as well as cello. Sometimes I like to take the opportunity with somebody else who I know plays bass. I think there are ways in which whether it's sometimes even playing on early instruments and getting the feel of the gut response, but I'm just kind of curious whether you think there are some takeaways, some benefits as a cellist that you get even more of a perspective of from playing bass and vice versa. Do the two play ways of playing inform each other?
Mm, yeah. Oh, honestly, I didn't know actually you also play bass.
All right.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Actually, I don't really play bass, but I teach bass. I mean, yeah.
Aha, aha.
So, yeah. Uh, more and more I think about it. I'm still learning, but bass is really different instrument, I think. The desirable sound quality and how to make it a little bit different. Well, obviously it has actually further, I mean the further distance
Yeah,
between the head and the notes and so on, right? So bassists, I don't know. For me, actually, maybe bassists need to find some good fingerings, which don't need to have actually a lot of trouble. Yeah, so smart fingering is
smart fingerings.
important. Yeah, I think that can be applied to cello playing too. I of course for cellists, actually, smart fingering is important, but for bassists, essential, right?
Yes, yeah,
Um,
that's true.
yeah, and uh, for me, playing bass needs much more the physical energy. I mean, yeah, well, the strings are a lot thicker, right? Pressing down the strings and also using a little bit heavier and then a little bit bigger bow on heavy thicker strings. All they need a little more actually the physical strength. Um, yeah, even carrying the bass, carrying bass
Right.
is so heavy, right? Yeah. Um, so, and I'm not very tall or big, so I think I need to use more my body a little bit more. Actually, I need to utilize my body and my yes, right. Actually, move. Actually, there's some yeah. Then, also putting more weight on the. I mean, more effectively on bass is very important. So those kind of things can be also applied to bass playing. I think. I mean, cello playing. I
Yes,
think.
yeah. I like that term smart fingerings because I mean sometimes among my students we'll talk about you kind of there are times that we have our safer fingerings. But the smart ones sometimes it can feel like there are certain passages where even if to your conscious brain it this other fingering makes more sense. But the fingering you play the fingering that just is always there. Somehow it's always rock solid, you know, even if it's sometimes seems less eloquent or less logical. But when you can count on it, then that's the smart fingering for those
Yeah,
technical
right.
passages. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And the ear, the really good ear that it takes on bass because the half steps are so wide. I mean, it's easy to fall into the trap of uh, I've just, you know, some student bassists, you can kind of tell that their approach to intonation is, well, that was pretty good. You know what I mean? Rather than, no, no, I know it's hard to find that exact spot, but you're still not there on every note. And then along comes a bassist that just nails every pitch, and you're like, yeah, that you two should talk to each other as to how you're not just using kind of an approximate you know, or they'll put a finger down and they'll allow themselves then to adjust it after the fact. But we still heard that it wasn't right when it landed initially.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, bass is so low. Intonation wise, actually, it's difficult. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, and the whole orchestra is counting on the
that's
bass
right. Yeah.
being really in tune to build our notes on top of. Yeah. All right.
Mhm.
So cello ensemble as well. You play cello ensemble music, which I mean, I'm super happy that over the recent decades, the amount of cello ensemble music just seems to keep proliferating. There's a lot of great repertoire out there. And then there's a number of professional groups of cellists, you know, cello quartets that go around and play concerts. And you know, it's like as great as a string quartet can blend together, four cellos, three cellos can blend even better. So I'm just kind of curious, do you have perspectives about how cello ensemble playing can, you know, like do you use cello ensemble playing with your students to help them learn a lot of those essential chamber music skills and blending skills and such?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Uh, yes, I really think playing in chamber, I mean, cello ensemble is very important. The pedagogically, yeah. So students can help each other, and also the in a sense, actually, watching somebody else playing very closely and have ensemble, then actually they can students can get influenced to each other as well. And yeah, because actually we play same instrument, so somewhat musically and technically, actually we can learn things easily too. Yeah, so and and actually it's so fun too. We can play anything actually for the cello quartet and I mean even cello trio. Actually, just in high register we can play actually really beautiful music, and then lower register actually rhythmic, and then yeah. So I think we have a lot of beneficial actually aspects and cello playing, cello actually ensemble.
Right. Yeah, even like what you say, then since it's all the same instrument, you can have everybody, hey, let's all play the third part together, or you know, or trade parts or things like that. is entirely feasible within a homogeneous ensemble like that. Um,
That's right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, right. That's a good idea. I never tried, so I should try that.
All right, excellent, excellent. Okay, one of the questions I ask everybody, all the guests on this are is about motivating students. There, hopefully, most everybody goes through and does not get into those lulls when they, I mean, for whatever reason sometimes it's stress related, sometimes it's just that they're so busy with all sorts of other things in life. Other times it's that they're being a perfectionist, they're doubting their own ability to keep advancing on the cello or something. But I run across students sometimes who get into a spot where they need some help getting motivated to keep advancing at the rate that would make them, make them happy if they keep their nose to the grindstone. So what do you do when you have a student who needs some additional motivation?
Uh, that's very difficult question and important question as well. Yeah, so I see sometimes actually students not very motivated actually practice in some reason. Yeah, as you said, um, the fastest way is actually, I mean, the students himself or herself realize the importance of practice, but often that's hard. Itself is hard. Sometimes I give very smaller goals every lesson, um, so that students can feel more like accomplishment feeling actually every lesson. So yes, just ask the student actually this week you just need to play this page, only this page with right rhythm, and the next week then better intonation, this page, the same page, something like that. Yeah, so the yes, so students can actually feel a little more accomplishment feeling, but sometimes actually they don't even do that, but sometimes they do it. So it's accumulated. Then
Yeah.
actually at the end of the semester, then they can play the whole just movement of sonata or something like that. Yes, so, but sometimes some students don't really like this kind of micromanaging. So um, I think at the end it's just we need to. Um, we that we need to try to figure out their character, the each and the individual character, and also just find out what would work the best. Yeah, it's like raising kids. Yeah, so it's always difficult. Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, yeah. But you're right also about the that is not terribly uncommon for part of the problem to be that they're trying to bite off too big of a bite at a time. When you make you if you look at the task as being this big, and that's they're trying to tackle the whole thing all at once. But if you divide it into individual tasks, oh well, I accomplished that one, I accomplished that one, it's almost like reading a very long book. Just keep turning each individual page as you get there, and eventually you'll have read the whole book.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'm really really excited to ask you about this AI research project. I remember when you were telling me about it in March, it sounded just fascinating and cutting edge. So, would you talk about your current research project?
Sure. So yeah, the AI in music, that research is currently my secondary area research. So I have 5 projects going on, collaborating with the engineering faculty members. The most important thing is actually most important project is developing 2 applications um, which can help string players practice and performance. So the names of those applications are Evaluator and Companion. So Evaluator will, by using AI, Evaluator will recognize the deviations in intonation, rhythm, and dynamics, um, comparing to the digitized score and tell us what was wrong and so on. Yeah, then there are some applications already doing that. So, yeah, one new thing we will do will be checking posture, using computer vision and machine learning. Yeah, so it will be helpful for beginners and intermediate students to that develop good posture, and also for performers to prevent injury, I think. Yeah, and yeah, companion will play missing part from absent musicians in string chamber rehearsal. Yeah, because I don't know if you experience this or not, but sometimes like in bigger string group, it's hard to actually gather everyone at the same time and
Yeah.
at the same place. Yeah, so I had some experiences like that. Then actually the rehearsals not will be not very efficient, right? So if the machine will play the missing part, following human musicians' tempo and musical nuances, then that will be pretty helpful. Yeah, it will be effective, right? Yeah. So, but the our goal is not actually the developing commercial applications. Actually, our research goal is to figure out how much, when, and how AI can help our profession. So the user studies will be really important sector of this research. So that we don't have the application really that developed yet, but we are developing. We are actually working on that. Then after those are developed, we need some users to try out, and even we can pay actually there's some compensation actually for using these applications. Luckily, we received a grant from National Science Foundation to support this research. So this fund actually can help supporting this compensation. And so if you would like to, you or actually anybody actually listening to this podcast that would like to participate this the research, trying out these applications, please let me know. Probably I can actually put my email address or something like that.
Great.
Yeah. And
Terrific.
I have some other research going on, like music uh, like robotic cello as well. Robotic cello, so developing actually playing, mimicking actually cello playing, and music transcription. Music transcription means, so there are some programs which can transcribe actually when you hear music, but they are not perfect. So we are developing more like competition on that. Yeah. So and yeah, some other things like music to the creating relevant images and some by AI. Yeah. So they are all interesting.
All right. Wow. And let's see. Several thoughts. I suppose one of them is I remember it was a university in Ohio that had taken a bunch of lights and attached them to Francois Rabath while he was playing bass. And then the computer kind of was able to extrapolate different aspects about what muscle started to move first and everything. I mean, it was just, it was a movement study based on how Rabath was playing bass. But it sounds like, are those the sorts of things that you're doing to take images of, like ideal cello playing to train the robot?
Yeah, so for evaluator side, you mean actually robotic cello or actually
Yes,
the evaluator?
robotic
Robot
cello
cello.
part. Yeah.
Yes, this is slightly more like engineering focused the project than musical project, but
Ah,
the more like because yeah, so cello playing or instrument playing needs very the sophisticated actually the control
right.
of the machine, right? Yeah, so when we can do that, then actually it can be applied to other actual areas like like um the robot actually helping like in other areas, right? Yeah. But for sure, actually, they will be helpful for the music as well. Yeah. So in the future, maybe no, who knows? Actually, we may need may be able to play actually with the robot. Yeah. But maybe not now. Not now. Maybe in maybe 30 years or something.
Right. Well, this is all fascinating. One of my it was a cello student in my cello studio. His main instrument was voice, but at the time I thought he was just going to be vocal and with some cello on the side. But he went on to get a doctoral degree in AI with a specialty in music, and he just gave a presentation earlier this semester at Whitewater, and he said the degree to which applications of AI to music just is, I mean, just largely untapped, waiting to be, kind of like all these studies and applications figured out and done, was just vast. So, like, what's your background? Do you have a computer background as well? What drew you to this project in the first place?
Oh, no, I don't really have a computer background. Yeah, I'm totally musician. But well, I had some ideas that since AI is actually really the big thing these days, right? Yeah, and it helps everything. So I thought maybe they can help our job as well. Yeah, at string
Right.
playing. Yeah, so I started to have a little bit ideas, and I just talked to some other the colleagues in engineering faculty, the engineering actually the area. Then, yeah, they actually we started to actually develop ideas together. Yeah, so I was just lucky to have actually good colleagues, I think.
Cool. That's great. That's awesome. All right. Well, so I mean, that sounds like you have a full plate already in terms of those 5 research projects. But what other either projects coming down the pike or performances yet in 2024? What's in your near future?
Oh, I think these days I'm working on a lot of new music. So yeah, and I mean, so there is actually a department concert coming soon, and I will be playing my colleague Harry Billow's uh, a solo cello piece, and also I will be playing another colleague, Alan McLeod's, the string quartet in February. So we will premiere in Tippecanoe Chamber Music Society.
Great.
Then I will be playing another new music, so cello and piano music Haram Banjo, the by Michael Shelley at Boulder University. Then in April, I'm planning a solo concert in Chicago. Then I have some the concerts scheduled in Korea and Hong Kong during the summer. Yeah. So
Wow.
we are all busy, right? Actually, you are a
Yes.
performer, and
Yeah.
then we are all busy actually with performance. So yes, I think we need to really keep going.
Yeah. It's a good thing we love what we do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Wow, this just sounds, I mean, I'm super, super excited to see the results of these 5. I didn't know it was that many, 5 research ideas, but the applications for I mean, I think that's the it's hard to envision now what is going to be the situation with AI 3 years from now, 5 years from now, which is not that far away. And so it's probably super exciting to be there on the cutting edge of aspects of it. So best of luck to you. More power to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I think actually the some music teachers, I mean, well, even actually the ASTA actually we went so the
Right.
last March, actually some teachers were concerning maybe AI can may take job away or something. But I don't think so. Actually, technology always develops, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we just need to use the AI as a tool to actually improve our life, our job. Yeah, so at the end. Yeah. Yeah. And
Right,
thank you
right.
so much for your actually encouragement. Thank you.
Oh, sure, yeah, and I mean, I definitely hope everybody reaches out and contacts you because it can, getting enough subjects for research, I know that helps with the numbers quite a bit, but it's going to be, I think, fascinating also on our end to be a participant. So that'd be great. Well, hopefully our paths will cross maybe again this next March in Atlanta, or you're actually not that far away. Maybe we'll meet somewhere in between. But thanks, Kristen, so much. It's been wonderful talking with you. Best of luck with your performances as well. And I look forward to next time we get to cross paths.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
All right, and everybody out there, we'll see you this time next week. Take care.
You had me at Jello.